Hey everyone, it's Carlos Villagomez. This is Hustle Behind Real Conversations. This is episode number 13. Pretty excited about our guest today. His name is Jake Heaton. And for those of you that don't know him, he owns a family business that has been here in town for quite a bit. It's Romaine's Mattress King, and he's an entrepreneur, business owner. So super excited to get to talk to him and just share that conversation with you guys. So Jake, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be here.
Awesome, man.
I like the setup. Looks really good, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. It's cozy. So we'll try to keep this fairly quick, have some fun here. One of the first things that I wanted to talk to you about, as I mentioned, well, first of all, tell us about yourself, who you are,
Okay.
and then we can kind of go into that.
So I'm Jake. I'm third generation of a business, and we'll get into the business too. But I'm just a punk kid that I don't think has really ever fully grown up in the mind, which I think has been really good for business in general. In the sense that I just when I want to go do something, I hustle it, I push hard, and if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. I have a wife. I have 3 kids. And my main priority in life right now is just making sure that I see as much time with them as I can, which in the past few years haven't been able to as much, just because with business in general, you know how that gets busy.
Yeah, that's hard sometimes to have that balance.
It's super hard. And so right now, that me it's just Jake and the kids. And we all sell mattresses and furniture, and then we have podcasts and YouTubes and things like that as well.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So let's talk about a little bit about Romaine's Mattress King, the business. It's been established for quite a bit, right? It's been in your family for many years. You'll let us know how many
I'll
years.
give you a little breakdown of that.
And so I'm curious about like, yeah, tell us a little bit about the business and
Okay.
how that came along.
So Romaine's started in 1959. My grandma's first name is Romaine. And so it's really fun when a lot of people come in because they always think our last name is where it comes from, of course, Romaine's. And they're like, you're Jake Romaine. No, I'm Jake Heaton, and Romaine was also a Heaton. But my grandma and grandpa started it in 1959. And there's a lot going on at that point. So my grandpa, who's the one who really was the entrepreneur of the family there, did almost anything and everything. So my grandpa was actually a firefighter out at the site, and that's where he gained a little bit of money. And then he started buying like apartments for not little things, that here and there that he could, and just to do a little bit of whatever he could on the excess to get some little bit extra money. Now, a little back up on my grandpa though. His dad died when my grandpa was like 11 years old. And then there were a few more kids. My grandpa was the second oldest. So my grandpa quit school at 11 years old and went to work. And my great uncle Wayne right now, who's the last one alive today, says that he's only alive because my grandpa took care of him. And so my grandpa grew up as a guy who couldn't rely on anybody else. If it was something that needed to be done, he had to do it. He didn't have a dad. He didn't have anybody to help him with. And so when I look over the way my grandpa did things, I think a lot of that came from the fact that he had nobody to rely on. Every decision he made, it was up to him. And if it failed, it was because of him. If it worked, it was because of him. So after my grandpa put all this little effort in, he eventually was like, you know what, I'm going to open this store. He opened up Romaine's. And then he just called it after his wife. And what Romaine started as was like anything and everything. We had brass pots. We had flowers that were felt flowers that my grandma would hand make. And then they started selling paint as well. So they got a contract with Mary Carter Paint, and they started as a Mary Carter Paint store along with their little trinkets that they make. It was almost like a flea market.
So Mary Carter paint, is that like commercial paint for like painting houses?
Yeah, kind of like Sherwin-Williams, other like that.
Okay.
So this was Mary Carter Paint. And so they got into that, started selling paint, and then they said, you know what goes really well with paint as well? Unfinished furniture. So they got into some unfinished furniture, started selling some unfinished furniture because unfinished furniture goes really well with paint. They had a little health food store in the front, believe it or not, in that little store downtown that we used to have in 1959. And so my grandma would sell like organic foods. And then they started getting more business on that furniture aspect, right? So they would sell a little bit more unfinished furniture, a little more paint. And my grandpa was like, man, I need to do something. It was making a little bit of money, but not enough to really pay bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been in business. In the beginning, you don't make money.
No.
You feed it, and you just hope that you can hopefully.
You make the money, you put it right back in. You make the money, you put it right back in.
Exactly, and eventually you hope you can finally take some money away from that. And so, Grandpa started kind of figuring, what else can I do? And then he got into these molds. He would make these molds for lawn ornaments, concrete molds. So there would be deer. He would pour these molds into a concrete deer, and then eventually make these molds. And eventually, he finally went to a guy named his last name was Haga. It's a company called Haga Mattress Company. And he started talking with this guy, Mr. Haga, and said, hey, I want to get into mattresses and I want to be good. And Mr. Higgins said, hey, Don, I think if you want to be the best at something, you have too many things going on. Decide what you want to do and then just do it. He goes, well, what do you suggest? He said, I think you need to not just be Romaine's. I think you need to be Romaine's Mattress King and just focus on mattresses. And my grandpa went, okay. So my grandpa got really heavy into mattresses at that point, changed the name, the branding, everything, and started it as Romaine's Mattress King. And for 60 years, that's what we were. Now, if you look at our store, even on Google, it's Romaine's Mattress Furniture. But what you'll see is my grandpa started to really push into that mattress side, so much to where he actually opened a factory in Shelley, and we started building our own mattresses called Restful Nights that we did for about 40 years, our own mattress manufacturer. And that's finally what started to take us off. And it probably wasn't until I was, 2005, so young, when I started to notice that there was a little bit of money there, and Grandpa just put everything he did. So his whole life, he worked to just have enough, not much, but enough. He then tried to put a little bit more back into apartments, some other things. He had some rentals. So my grandpa had quite a few things going on. And then I remember in 2008 is when my dad purchased it from my grandpa, which everything started to crash at that moment, right? And so 2008 was a year where the economy in general was rough.
So wait, when did your dad purchase it from your grandpa?
My dad bought it officially in 2008.
In 2008. Interesting.
From my grandpa. And it's funny because, my dad has worked there his whole life, right?
Yeah.
And I got to put some on my dad too, because my dad, when I was a little boy, I didn't see him around. He had an ice cream truck. He was a journeyman electrician. And so my dad in the morning would go and he would wire homes. And then he would go to the store from 10 to 6. And after 10 to 6, he would take his ice cream truck out and he'd go ice cream. And I remember this as a little boy. And then after about 10 o'clock, he would go and finish wiring homes and he'd go home at midnight. So I didn't really ever see my dad growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But then officially, my dad bought Romaine's from my grandpa. I should say buying it, right? Monthly payment for my grandpa's retirement, 2008. And I remember my dad at that moment, when everything started to kind of fall, my dad had said, we got to be the best. This is a time when we're either going to grow or we're going to fail. And my dad started to push things different into advertising. How can we be a little bit better? How can we make this a little bit better here? And I remember him trying to focus a little bit more on the family unit and how we can advertise it. And for some reason, it worked. And we had one of our best years in 2008, even though a lot of things were going down. And business was good. Now, it wasn't that there were hard times. Business was just better. Yeah. And so then he pushed, and at that point, I'm working there, too, every day.
How old were you there?
I started there when I was 14 years old. 2008, how old was I? 16? Okay. So I graduated in 2010, sorry. Okay. Graduated in 2010, which I was probably 18. So I started at 14, though, working deliveries and doing everything I could there. And so all I've ever known, though, is if I wanted something, I had to go to work. That is one thing I appreciate my dad. If I wanted something, he would say, well, you can come work for a little bit and I'll pay you. I didn't realize till I was older that he was overpaying me. But he still made me work for him.
Yeah, that's good. That made you earn it.
But now, where life's at, well, I know that was quite a bit of time there, but that's the story of where it was. But now where we're at, right? So I'm working with my dad, and we find out I don't even remember, probably 2019, that R.C. Willie might be coming to town. 2020, yeah, we hear about it.
I remember,
We hear a rumor. Mm-hmm. It's not official. They haven't said anything, but we hear a rumor. And I went to my dad, and I've been in the business for a minute now. Yeah. I went to my dad, and I said, hey, Dad, I said, if they're going to come to town, I said, we need to beat them at the punch, and because you either grow or you die. Like, business is one or the other. You don't stay stagnant. It's not the way it works. You can't coast.
Yeah, you got to step it up. You have to, always change and always be proactive about it, 100%.
And if you're not, you are going to die. And so I remember going to Dad, and this has been my life now. This is all I know. I'm working for the store, and at this point, I'm handling everything. I'm handling the advertising. I'm handling our vendors. I'm handling all my buying, everything. But I've been in it for a minute. And, I said, Dad, we need a building. He goes, well, I'm too old for that. Well, kind of shut it down in the beginning. And I was like, huh. And I know my dad owns this property where we're currently located. Mm-hmm. He bought that 20 years ago. Thank goodness. My dad was very smart in buying property.
He always bought a lot of land, right? Or different properties.
Never bought anything that made him money, though. Just land. So he has his payments on land that don't bring any residual income.
I guess it made him money over time because he sat on it long enough.
100%. Right? But to me, it's like there's nothing generating income at this moment. It's just an expense. I was thinking about it again. I'm like, man, we really do need a build. We need to build this big store, and it would be nice. And I started looking up some ideas on a furniture store that I would like. And I kind of combined like some high-end luxury car dealerships because I love the big windows. Yeah. And then some furniture stores that I like, and kind of had some mixed photos put together. And I came up with an idea of, man, this is what I want the store to look like. And I remember going and doing that, and then started talking with an architect on how this could kind of come to fruition, and started paying a little bit of money on the side without my dad knowing on how can we actually get a little bit of a rendition store. And I was scared because I'm like, geez, I'm spending this money for some rendering on architecture, and see, I'm not sure what's going to happen. And I remember taking that to my dad, and I said, hey, this is what I want to build. Because he's already shut me down, right?
Yeah.
And now he sees this picture of our store, which if you've seen our store, is pretty stunning.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful building. I mean, it definitely catches. Yeah.
It does.
It's nice.
So I take this picture. Man, I keep smelling. What's wrong with it?
You're good. You need another napkin?
No,
okay.
Good. So I take this picture to my dad, and I say, hey, Dad, this is what I want to build. And this happened. My dad goes, holy cow. He said, that's what you're going to build? Yeah. He goes, well, if that's what you're going to build, then how can I help? And I was like, oh, sick. I'm like, well, how you can help is that land that you own on Arrowhead Road, which is the best piece of ground in town right now.
Talk about traffic. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great location.
And Forsyth back in the day was a piece of farm ground.
Yeah.
He says,
well, everything was back here, a piece of ground, right?
100% was farm.
That's the thing, though. But I wonder if your dad saw that, like, and that's why he keep buying land over time, because he's seen the grow over time. And every time a farmer had some land, and then grow comes in, and then they sell the land, and then here comes the paycheck, right?
Yes.
So.
And I'm sure that's exactly why. And thank goodness he did. Because I told him, I said, I need that land to build. And he said, if that's what it is, he says, the land's yours, let's do it. How can I help? From there, you've seen where we've come now. We started the real work. We started to put it in. My dad had more money than me. And so he was there to help me with whatever we could with architecture and all that. And he's there, and he's been the best sidekick you could possibly have. He hasn't said no about anything. He just said, how can I help? Let's do it, and let's make it work. So we've since built our new building, and our income has more than doubled at the new store. We were hoping to have like a 30, 40, 50% increase. 50% increase would be sweet. And we've had like 150% growth out of the new store. And so it's outdone our expectations. It's not easy, right? There's definitely overhead that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to fund half the building ourselves. But this is the main thing, if anybody can recognize on your podcast here, because you called it the hustle. What did you call it?
It's called the hustle behind real conversations. So it's about the hustle behind what's happening, like the work that you're putting behind. Because people get to see the product, the final product, or they just see that you have the store, but they don't know the history, the sweat and tears, the long nights, the early mornings. And so that's kind of like what we're trying to do here. We want to get into those conversations and people get an insight of what's taking you to get there.
I know I've taken a little long-winded and just shouted good, but there is some hard, man. And in fact, there's a lot of hard. When I was young, specifically, I remember many, many times, which I didn't know any better because we didn't have a lot of money, but I didn't know any better because we just grew up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had enough. But then many times when all we were eating was just simple, little, inexpensive, which I look back now and I'm like, man, that's all we could afford at the time. But that's because my dad, thank goodness for him, was putting almost everything he could back in the business to grow. Which has been really good for us. But today, right, we're at this new store, and it's not just a cakewalk. I mean, a lot of people see it, and they see how pretty the store is and how big it is, but it's not a cakewalk. I know a lot of people think, man, you can go years and be fine. No, like if I have multiple bad months in a row, I'm not going to be here. Mm-hmm. And and that's not to say business isn't good. That's just reality of business. I have multiple months where we just know business or things aren't good. It's hard. So for example, our life, I work with my wife, which most people can't do. In fact, half my employees said there's no way they could work with their life.
I'm there with you as far as working with my wife. I work with my wife as well, so I get it. But tell us about it.
Thank goodness it's been good for us. Now, it's not always, I told my wife in the very beginning, I said, when we're at work, okay? This is an employee relationship. I said, so if I'm upset about something, I'm not mad at you as my wife. I might be upset about how this needs to be run. It needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And there's been times where I've been a little annoyed. I'm like, hey, I don't like the way you do that. It needs to be done this way. And thank goodness we can do it in a manner where we can get over it and go home and still be married and still sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
And be nice. But there is stresses. For example, payroll numbers are huge, right? My mortgage is huge. What do you do when times are slow? How do you figure out where to advertise and what to advertise?
Where to allocate your money? Yeah, because that's super important. Where are you going to get the return, right?
And that's a hard question because my advertising bill so when I first opened that store, my advertising for the year was about $220,000. And most people would say you're lying. I'm not lying. We were roughly $20,000 a month, $18,000 to $20,000 a month, and that's what we paid for advertising. And after a year, I'm like, man, I think that's too much money. So I hired an agency from a good friend of mine who's been in the advertising business forever. Started his own company, which maybe you should have him on here. 208 Vision 208. Really
Yeah, love to have them.
They're fantastic, actually.
We'll reach out to them.
Yeah, so they branched off from their advertising, opened their own place, and I said, hey, I want to cut this in half. Like, let's be to 100,000, which is still a lot of freaking money. And we changed the way our advertising has gone. And you know what's interesting is I haven't had any. We've been doing that for a year and a half now, 2 years, and my income hasn't changed. My overall gross, I should say, on business hasn't changed. Which means, man, I'm spending half as much and still getting the same return. And where's that fine line? Yeah, where's that fine line? But there's just a drive. It's funny, since you bring out the hustle, I have a lot of people come into the store or places sometimes, and they see what we do, or they see the things I have, and they're like, man, I could never have that. And I tell them right off the bat, I'm like, you're right. They're like, what? I'm like, the second you said that, you were right. Don't say that. Don't ever say you can't. Because as soon as you do say you can't, you're right.
You're setting yourself up
100%.
for failure. 100%, yeah.
So I said, whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, you're right. So change it and start saying, one day I'm going to have this. You're right. And then set goals, and then make plans on how to get that goal. And if you make this plan, because here's the end goal. You set a goal, you make a plan here, make a plan here, make a plan here, and maybe course correct regularly on where you're at on those plans in order to hit that goal. You can have whatever you want one day. You just can't have no as an option. And that's what's hard. You know what I mean? There's ups and downs.
Because you're going to make plans, and life is going to show you something different. It's going to slap you in the face. So it's, okay, well, now that happened, how do I get back on it, and how do I keep going forward, right? You know, like I said, you have your vision, your goals, and you make your beautiful plan, but all of a sudden you don't account for all those things that life is going to throw at you, right?
So you've been in the business.
Yeah.
You've been in the same furniture business, and you've changed, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, too, because you started Catlows, which I really, I love that we have this relationship, by the way, and Carlos has always been really good. And I'm curious, though, you had to put in a whole bunch of effort there, too. See, I always tell people I've had a 60-year head start, which is awesome. Do I still work hard? Every day. I'm there every day. My hours are long.
But I want to touch on that. So you see you have a 60-year head start, right? And so here's the question, and you don't have to give me it's either this or that, but I've always been curious as like, okay, what is harder, to start something or to continue something that has already been successful, and to have that huge responsibility in your shoulders of carrying that legacy that started with your grandpa, then your dad, and it's like, okay, now it's on you. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah. I will tell you, the anxiety behind that is real. I mean, I can imagine. There is a huge amount of stress that I feel carrying that. Man, if I fail after 60 years, that's on me. I'm going to be like, well, gee, Romaine was great. And then Jake took it over and it failed. That does scare me. It scares the crap out of me.
I think it would scare anybody taking over something, right? Because like I said, it's many years in a family legacy.
I think there's pros and cons to both, though. Let's say the pros are I have more income than my grandpa did, than my dad did, believe it or not. And so that's huge. Like, my grandpa started the business and he lived up to this level. My dad started at this level and was able to live up to this level. I started at this level and I get to live up to now a level that my dad, I'm 34 years old. That's young.
Yeah.
And I'm able to have, which temporary things honestly aren't that important. I've realized I am still religious, and I realize there's some other things which I know some people may or may not be. But to me, that's very important. And temporal things are important, but at the end of the day, they're not the most important. But let's speak temporally wise. Temporally, I have more than my dad ever did, especially at like my age now, 34. I remember when my dad bought his nice home, right, for himself finally. And that was also in 2009, the year after he bought the business. And I remember that was struggles. My dad was 55 years old, I think. Yeah, my dad's about 55 years old when he was able to do that. Before that, we didn't have, big fancy nice house or a lot of extra things that we could have. And I was able to have things like that at a lot of younger age. And so that's a huge blessing of the 60-year head start.
And now your kids start at a very different place than where you started, right?
Let's actually talk about that, because that does scare me and bother me. I got to see a struggle from Grandpa. I worked with Grandpa.
Yeah. I
got to see a struggle with Dad. I watched the struggle. I watched the times come home where my dad was really good about not letting the kids know. Man, I could see it. He was worried, how's he going to pay these things? Right?
Yeah.
My kids, quick example, 6 months ago, my son broke something. And he was like, it's just like $100. I'm like, just $100? I'm like, what do you mean just $100? He's like, Dad, you have like $100 in your pocket all the time. I'm like, son, if you think it's that freaking easy to have $100, I said, I will not buy you a thing from here on out.
Yeah.
And it really hit me because here's the thing. We live in a nice place. We live in a nice area where all the friends that he has are in the same income bracket, if you will. You know? So all of his friends, they don't know any different. All they know is this elevated life.
They haven't gone from here to here. They were just already here, right?
Yeah,
so
and that scares me because it's like you don't know the difference. And it's not that easy to just come by. And that's where I'm scared of what is the future holds, especially with my kiddos, you know, because they think they want to work with me too. They got to recognize it's not just handed.
Yeah, they're not just going to walk in, you're going to hand it the keys and say, go ahead. It's funny that you're sharing that story about your kid because literally this week, over the weekend, quick story, my son Liam went to his friend's house and they go gaming. So he takes his monitor, he takes his Xbox. I'm like, why are you taking everything? He's like, because we do it. They set it up and they've done it over here. I'm like, be careful. Anyways, long story short, he's bringing it back, drops the screen's broken, right? The monitor. And he's sad and he's just like stressed. And I'm like, well, but you're just going to have to, you know, get another one. You're going to have to work for it. I think he got it for his birthday. Anyways, his birthday's coming up. So I said, you have two options. He's like, well, can you get me one right now? I'm like, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, you can either wait for your birthday. And he goes, he's going to start mowing the lawn for us this week. Yeah. And so because he wants to make money for the summer. So we told him, we'll pay you, you mow the lawn, right? Okay. And he's like, well, can you buy it? And then I'll just pay you from the mowing. And I'm like, no, you can mow it, earn the money, and then you buy it.
You don't have credit.
Because you don't have credit. I'm like, he's like, but you have the money. I'm like, yeah, but it doesn't work that way. If I just give it to you and then let you pay me back, I'm like, I'm just not giving you the right example. I'm like, that's not just how the word works. So, you know, I'm like, start next week. I'm like, do it at least 3 weeks. And if you have some money accumulated, maybe then I'll buy and you pay me the difference. But let's start there.
You know what, though? That little epic right there, though, I think is so huge. I think that is the most important thing. Because as soon as that happened with my son as well, mm-hmm. He wanted to get like a Switch. Same thing. And I told him, son, I said, I don't think you realize how much effort it does take to actually have this type of stuff. So if you want it, you're going to have to start come work. So you're going to have to come start working for me. And he would come, and he would dust, and he would clean, he'd put some handles and some dressers and some little things here and there. I like this. And he's like, that's all I get? I'm like, how long did you work? This long. So this is how much you made an hour. That's what you get. That means it's going to take me like at least like 5 months of if I only work once a week to get this thing. I said, yeah. Yeah, all of a sudden started to have a much more appreciation of what he has. Because it's not overnight that you just get it. Yeah. For him, because he can't work all the time, he can only work on Saturday and do here and there a little bit. It's going to take him months to be able to buy something like this. And I think that is the only way I will be able to help my kids understand that there's value in things, because they just like we talked about earlier, they started here, not here. So they've only ever recognized that life lives at this level. Whereas if we drive around, we live a life probably better than 90% of the world. Yeah. You know, you and I both we have some things, and we do live better than most people in the world. Which I think sometimes I forget. And I don't know. I want to make sure my kids have that same thing, because it's not easy. You see, I started a YouTube channel too, mm-hmm. Right? And I started a YouTube channel probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't do much. I'm like, I'm just done with it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to come back to it. And I'm like, I'm going to start pushing. I'm going to start doing. I'm going to change my thing. I'm going to go into. I have guns. I like guns. I'm going to call it Jake's Armory.
Kind of pick a niche.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll with it. And I started doing gun videos, and all of a sudden the channel just goes, and I started that in January. And so since January, doing gun stuff, my channel's at 8,300 subs, and I've made $2,500.
There you go.
So it's funky to me because that's not a huge channel yet, but I've made money, and all I have to do is just post videos of what I wanted. But at the same time, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Every Monday.
It takes time. You got to be committed every day or every week, or, you know, whenever you do it.
After you edit this, yeah. Which you should probably edit out half the story because it took forever. But that takes time. It's another job. And so I think consistency on stuff, though, is so important. And most people in the world that aren't successful aren't consistent. You just have to be consistent. Push forward, put in the work. Don't take no for an option. And right when you get to the end, man, it's just not going to work, put in that little extra. Do a little bit more. And those who say I'm going to do it and can do it, you're going to do it. In fact, I have a sister and brother-in-law who they consistently, no matter where we're at, even their kids say this because it's heard so often, can't afford it. They come over, I love it, can't afford it. And I told them 6 months ago, I said, don't ever say that around me again. I said, it's so annoying. I said, number one, you guys live in a beautiful place. You have nice things. I said, you sound like a jerk actually saying that. because it sounds like, well, then what are we? If you can't afford, what are we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To most people. And I said, have you ever heard me say I can't afford it? No. I said, that's because if I can't afford it and I want something, I just go, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. And so I told my sister and my brother-in-law, you start saying, if you want something or that, instead of I can't afford it, go, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. And since then, it's so funny to see their difference. And in fact, their life has gotten awesome because they have been doing that. They've been working on it. My sister is like, I want that. She wants a gold chain.
Yeah.
And I had a gold chain. I sold it to her. And I gave her a price in the beginning. And she was like, don't say it. She's like, I want that. I'm going to figure out how to buy it. I said, sweet. A few months later, she comes and brings me cash. She said, I figured it out. I want that chain. Sold her a chain. My brother-in-law just started a lawn care business. He's quitting a pretty good job, actually, which to me is like, man, you make good money. It's a big risk.
Yeah.
Big risk to cut guaranteed money to now have a lawn care business. But you know what? Since he started that lawn care business, he's got client after client after client. He's like, I'm going to make it work. I have to make it work. I want more on time. And this has been great because it was no longer, I can't do it. It's, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it work. So I love that.
And there's something about something being yours, right? And you put in the time and the effort, and it's like you either sink, you float or sink, right? Either, because if you have a job, there's more forgiveness. You may make mistakes, and then you get called out. You can get written up, or things like that. But they're more at the end of the day when you're running your business, like you said, who do you point the finger to?
But you've also never put as much work into something
when it's compared to when it's yours. Oh, 100%.
Like I love my employees. And I have some great employees. Like I've had employees where they're just employees. Second the clock hits 7, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care. We don't get to take that home.
They don't take the problems home.
Yeah, we don't get to leave them there. We go home, man. It's there. Like that's my business. It is what it is. Right now I have some great employees, but still none of them will ever understand it or care about it the way I do. Because they're not the ones at the end of the day seeing the bank account and what needs to be paid and what needs to be here.
They're not as vested in it,
right?
Which it justifies it. I mean, yeah,
100%. But that's the thing about owning your business is the biggest risks, the biggest rewards. It's funny. I wasn't feeling great. I went and did some blood work with a doctor. I just don't feel good. And I'm like, man, something's wrong. And it's funny because he comes to me and he goes, dude, your cortisol levels on an average person should be between 2 and 4. Yours are at 26. He said, that's not good. He's like, I'm surprised you're not substantially fatter, to be honest with you. He's like, because you can't lose weight with cortisol is that high. He's like, which also cortisol will ruin your body, man. I'm like, well, okay, I understand. And I'm fasting, right, for this blood work. And your insulin levels are supposed to also be between like 2 and 4. If they're above 8, that's high. If they're above 12, that's really bad. That shows pre-diabetic. He's like, your insulin levels are on fasting are at level 24. He's like, it's really, really bad, Jake. He's like, which I'm assuming is correlation with that cortisol. And he says, you don't maybe seem stressed. And I said, to be honest with you, I don't know any different. This is all I know. So if you ask me if I'm stressed, I'm probably like, man, I don't think so. But obviously the blood work shows that there's a stress hormone in my body, right?
Yeah.
Cortisol is really, really high. But the thing with me growing up, I guess the way I have, I don't know a difference. I would love to know a difference because like right now you can hear this sinuses, bad allergies, I'm sure, but at the same time, this cortisol just kicks me. It kills me.
Yeah.
And the other day, somebody asked if my wife was my freaking daughter. Wow. 3 years older, dude. That's literally the difference.
Come on.
But for real though, it happened. From my hot wife to this bald guy. They're like, is this your daughter? I'm like, dude, that's bad. And so it's just funny to me.
You're like, it's my trophy wife, okay?
Yeah, exactly. What do you think? But it's just funny to me because these levels do hit you. So there's risk and reward. Like, the risk for us is we have a lot of things in life that a lot of people can't have. But some of the sacrifices too. I've noticed my son, he's 11 years old, my oldest boy this year. And I've noticed I haven't spent time with him like I should. I haven't spent nearly enough time with any of them. And I'm like, man, I haven't been the best dad to my 2 boys. To my baby, my girl, she's 5. I think I've been a great dad. I spent a lot of time with her because I've recognized she's my last one. With my boys, I haven't been the best dad. And thank goodness at this point, I finally have some employees to where I feel I can leave. I've never felt that way, which I got to do at a long younger age. My dad was never able to take a day off, ever. Since I remember, my dad has never taken a day off. I started saying, I'm going to take Mondays off. So I started taking Mondays off. I spend those with my kids. We go fishing. We do something. And that has been super huge for me. I just started pilot lessons. I have a flight tonight.
That's pretty cool.
So there's some things that I'm starting to do because my son really wants to do it too. There's a lot of risk and reward. The risk is we don't spend as much time with the family. I could lose everything. If my employees lose, they lose a job. If I lose everything. I lose my house and my cars. I lose literally everything. And I have to start from ground zero. So that's the risk. but with the reward, I also have a really good life, you know?
Yeah. And it's hard to balance. I get that part with I get the dad guilt all the time.
Yeah.
I mean all the time. And so you come home and my job is more of an on-call work. People call you. My phone's attached to me, but I've had to make those changes like from this time to this time, put the phone away, make sure you go outside and play basketball with the kids and do certain things, go mountain biking, go do something
Yeah.
and block times. Blocking time is what allowed me to do that. That's the biggest thing.
Good.
So if you put it on the schedule from this time, this is what we're going to be doing. Then if somebody calls me and I go like, oh, sorry, they don't need to know that it's played with my kids.
Right.
It's like I have a meeting and that's just what it is, right?
That's good.
And so, but it's been hard, especially shifting from, I mean, gosh, retail business, it's hard. I was there with you on the trenches and it's sometimes consuming. And we were at smaller stores. I mean, we run it, three people.
And people suck. I hate to say that. And people are going to watch this, but this is Jake behind the camera.
Yeah. But I mean, in reality, here's the thing. I mean, you have a lot of nice people, but a lot of people that they're like, they walk in and they're like, well, how much is this? And you're like, well, is this much? And so can you give me a better deal? And you're like, sure, I can, but there's only so much that I can give you because we still have to keep the lights on. I have to pay people and I have to make money just like you do, right? Which is similar in real estate, right? I don't get paid unless I perform until I get you a house or sell your property or find you the commercial property. I don't get paid. I don't have a retainer. I don't have an hourly rate. And so it's those things that.
Well, how is business then right now?
It's good. Honestly, we're pretty steady. We've actually grown our team. There's 6 of us now. We added some new agents. There's been some changes in the last 6 months on how we did things. So it's been a bit of an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
And I always add more on my plate. That's my problem. I'm always like, okay, let's add this a little bit here.
The same people. But those are the guys that are on the top, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I mean, you gotta keep going. You gotta stay ambitious, right? Because otherwise you get into, I said, comfort zone. Yeah. As soon as you're comfortable, then I'm going, okay, what's next? What do we need to do? Because I feel like I'm not growing. Right. And sometimes I'm like, is that unhealthy? Or like, can I just be happy? But I'm like, I am happy, but I'm ambitious. I would like to achieve more things and I would like to sort of build something for my kids to leave behind, and so it's interesting. But it's also the rewards of like accomplishments and things like that. I think you could say I'm a workaholic. I'm a bit addicted to achieving things.
I've always seen you
hustle
well, and I love that. That's why I think I love talking to you, because there's not a lot of people that get that same sense, to be honest with you. A lot of people in life are just like, I'm good where I'm at. And that's fine. That's actually great.
Yeah.
I don't want to be good where I'm at, though. I do want to continue to do better. It's funny, this year is a little concerning with the world. Mm-hmm. We've always noticed a business difference when gas prices go up. Mm-hmm. I mean, gas has gone through the roof.
It just affects everything.
It does affect everything. And it's interesting because our business has been a little soft this year. And so then I'm like, man, is it just us? Because we're like usually on the top of advertising on most things. So I've talked to a lot of other stores. I've talked to other furniture stores, actually. I have some really good friends in the business that I've called, and he's like, man, it's been slow. It's been interesting. And I've called some of my friends who own jewelry stores and gun shops. Obviously, my gun channel, I do a ton of gun stuff. It's funny because one of my gun buddies who owns the store sends me gun pics all the time, and I give him like a thumbs up. He's like, that's all I get? And I'm like, if my traffic's slow, I don't want to go spend money. Yeah. And so if I'm not spending money, it affects everybody.
Everything. Because if your business is not bringing that much revenue, you're not going to go and spend a ton of money. And if they're not spending a ton of money in your business, means because they're probably not making it. It's just a vicious circle. It affects everything.
It's a big circle. And so currently with the world right now, I'm curious if anybody does watch this, what their thoughts are on the world right now too, because I think people are a little concerned with the wars. I think people are concerned with gas money. It definitely takes some money out of your pocket, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing money, but we were really doing money last year.
Yeah.
Breaking numbers that baffled me, to be honest.
Compared to the previous years, yeah.
Oh man, like last year we broke absolute records. We've had record-breaking days, record-breaking months, and stuff where I was like, in my old store, we would do in 1 month at the new store, like November, we did that 1 month more than we did the entire year at our downtown store.
Really?
So we were doing amounts of money in the 7-figure range, which is nuts to me.
That is crazy.
In 1 month. And that doesn't typically happen.
And what do you think? It's a combination of new marketing, the location?
The location's huge, but November, I don't know what it was, but November, dude, was it was honestly, it was crazy. Like I couldn't believe the numbers that we had hit. And then as soon as January and some of these funky things started happening with the world,
Hmm.
we're still doing business more than we did our downtown store. But
Yeah.
at the same time, compared to where it was, it's like, I don't like to see that.
It's those up and downs, those peak and valleys that
I
you get
like
in
consistency. I
Yeah.
don't like this. I don't like this. I would rather have this than a huge month here and then slower months here. Now, as long as I can pay my bills, though, I'm stoked, which is happening. That's good. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm curious what we do to go in the world further here. Because real estate, if you say real estate's good, that really makes me happy. Because if people are buying homes and places like that, they're probably going to come buy furniture and mattresses.
I mean, it's I say it's good considering the way the market is right now, right? And I can only talk about my team, how we're doing
Right.
as a team, right? I mean, I know other agents are good. I can see what properties are selling, what not, which ones are staying on the market. I mean, as far as everything moving slower, 100% is moving slower.
Well, it took
People are
9 months for me to sell my last house.
Yeah, I mean it's just a trickier market. People are a lot more careful, right? People have a lot more to choose from. They have more inventory, so they're gonna take their time, and they're gonna be a lot pickier. And then so plus you have a lot of these people that bought the houses during COVID that they bought it at a peak price. They have a great interest rate, so they're like, do I let go of that? And am I not getting the money that I would, that I paid for the house at the time? If they bought it cash, well then so be it. But there's a lot of factors affecting that and how people are making those moves. I think that houses that are in tip-top shape, that they're good, they normally go well if they're priced well. It's all about pricing right now.
Right.
If you price it well and your house is in, it's an immaculate home, well taken care of, it's going to go fast and people will fight over it.
Right.
And then you have houses that are just sitting there that are overpriced and they're just sitting there. I mean, literally, we just put an offer on a house with a client that's been in the market for 800 days.
Oh my goodness.
800 days. And
That's
so
that's a lot. That's
it's
too
a long
long.
time. Yeah.
Geez, man, that's too long.
Yeah.
2 years?
Yeah. Thankfully for the owners, I think it's been rented, so that's helped them.
Right.
And so,
I
but
sold
it's
my
still,
last
it's a long
house
time.
I sold my last house for 100,000 less than what I paid for it. That hurt.
It
And
does.
I put extras into it. I put an extra 100 into it. So to me, it was like a $200,000 loss. And I thought I'd sell it fast. And so I bought this other house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I'll sell my other one. I'll put the money toward it. And freak, I had 2 houses for 9 months there. That
Carry, yeah,
hurts
that's heavy.
for a minute. Thank goodness it was when business was
When the business is going really good.
ripping, man. But at the same time, I don't love to see that. But as long as we can keep rolling things that we have done, good. I mean, we're not going back to 2020 years. Those
Yeah.
years were nuts, man.
It happened.
I don't think we're going back.
I mean, the reality is, everybody's like, I hope interest rates go down. I'm like, that's the last thing you want for interest rate to go down to 2s and 3s again, because guess what's going to happen? Everybody's going to flood the market.
Yeah.
We're going to have a shortage of inventory, and inflation's going to take off. So it's got to be like a good level where it's comfortable. And so, could it be a little bit better? Yes, I think we could be slightly better.
What are interest right now?
Between 6 and 7, like 6.25.
Oh, I'm happy. I think I closed mine at like 5.2, 5.2.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was a 5 or 5.25.
And you can buy it down still. And it just depends, obviously, on your credit, many factors, debt to income ratio, and things like that. The program that you're going to use. If you're going to do VA, you could probably get it on the 5s.
Cool.
But it just really depends,
Cool. Well, hopefully I didn't take too much rambling.
No. You're good. I mean, that's the whole thing. We just talk about things. You said something that I want to touch on. And because I like to point out the similarities and the differences. We were in business. I shouldn't say together. We were in the same business. We were competitors, but there was always a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that, which I can't say for some of the people that I was in the business with.
I'm the same way, dude. And it's funny because it seems like those people that you don't get along with are the same people that nobody gets along with.
Yeah. I think it's their attitude towards the business. But, and I like...
And the older generation. My dad was the type of guy that didn't... It's furniture stores are enemies. We don't get along with them.
Yeah.
I'm not that way.
But here's the thing.
My dad was really cool.
Your dad was... I mean, I take my hat off to your dad because I got to tell this story. It's just that's pretty much how I kind of got to know you guys better. I had a big client that was setting up a big cabin in Island Park, and they needed a ton of mattresses, and I didn't have them.
Yeah.
And so I called my rep, and he's like, call Carrie. And I'm like, I can't call Carrie. He's like, call him. just tell him what you need and he'll probably help you out. And I call your dad and I'm like, hey, Carrie, I'm like, this is Carlos from Carlos. Like, what are the chances? I'm like, I'm short all these mattresses. How much do you have them and how much you won for them? I'm like, just tell me what you won for them. I was like, I'm not losing this sale, even if I don't make a lot of money, because it was like big client, you know?
You want to keep
and I was like, I wasn't like, I may not make a lot of money, but I'm satisfying this client. I'm getting them everything they want. And I call your dad and he's like, what do you need? I'm like, I need all this. And I was like, okay, how much you want? It's like, just cost. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, no, you're crazy. I'm like, you gotta, he's like, no, I'll drop him off. Just write me a check. And he came over himself in the truck and brought all the mattresses. And I was able to complete that order. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then from then on, you know, obviously built a really good relationship with your dad, but I can't say that I had the relationship with a lot of other competitors and everything. And obviously with your dad and then with you, I got to know you, but it's interesting. So then we have a lot of similarities on the business, but we have a lot of differences too, right? And so you mentioned religion. You're a very religious person. I am not so much. I'm more spiritual. Yet we get along, and that's the beauty of it, right? But how is that important in how you handle your business and how you handle yourself?
Religious side or just how?
No, I guess you can mention both, but let's start with religion.
I guess so. If I'm going to bring it down. I'm Christian, right? I very, very much want to follow Christ, and I'm probably a little bit more wild than a lot of people that are in the same church as me, because I'm very much so the spirit of the law type of guy. You know, if you can understand, I've had some great, great experiences personally with the Lord. And so when I've recognized how impactful he is to me and how he would treat somebody, that's huge for me to hopefully portray that love back. Now, obviously, I'm still in this moral world, and I still get angry sometimes, and it's still hard. But
we're all human. We have our moments.
But the reason why that is so important to me in every aspect, in fact, a lot of customers will come in, and we'll have conversations about Jesus pretty regularly, which can't be said for most people, right? And it usually starts off with something like, hey, you know, you're looking at this temper, they're rated forever. Jesus will probably be back before you need a new one. You know, they'll either laugh or they'll be like, I think you're right. And it's funny because that'll kind of kick off a conversation of, yeah, I think you're right. And so we'll talk. But what's important with that is I want to hopefully treat everybody just kindly. Because here's the thing at the end of the day. I'm a member of this community. We're going to be out to dinner. And I don't want one of these from across the room from some guy that I didn't do good business with. Now, you can't make everybody happy. You know that. 100%. If you're in business, there's some people you could give the world to and still not be happy.
And obviously, if you're making everybody happy, you're probably not doing good business. You're not very profitable, and people are walking all over you.
Probably right.
Yeah.
And so I would say, if you look at our reviews, man, we have 4.9 star and over 1,000 reviews now. We make people happy. There's a few you just can't. And it's usually because of miscommunication is the sad thing, though.
Yeah.
It's usually because their expectation is this, and our expectation is this. And for some reason, we can't
It was never established correctly from the beginning.
And that's what's sad, because both of us we both probably want the same thing, but on our side, and if you asked everybody else who hears that side, is 100% right. And this guy's crazy. But I bet from their side, which we can't understand, they probably think the same thing. And that's what's sad is at the end of the day, man, we want everybody to be happy. But a lot of it has to do with the attitude of the customer coming in. Like, I've had customers come in who are unhappy with products and walk in, super cool. Hey, man, we don't really love this. Is there anything we can do? And some of the stuff is like, I can't do anything. But because they came in so cool, I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. I'll bring it. We'll do in-store credit, even though this is a product I cannot resell. I'll put it on the floor. I'll do something with it, right?
Yeah.
But let's just do it because they're cool. I've also had, on the other hand, really simple things to fix. I mean, easy problems where somebody comes in and they're absolutely like horrible.
Their attitude towards
it. Attitude rude. They walk in, they'll curse at us, swear us, and at that point, I'm like, just so you know, if you're going to act like this, I won't do anything for you. Come in with a good attitude, and I want to help you. But if you're going to act this way, don't act. In fact, I sold some. Oh, I mentioned this guy. I hope he watches it, to be honest with you. He bought some outdoor furniture.
Yeah.
And was very, very, very dickery up front on price. Huge dickery. And I'm like, okay, I'll get you the best price I can. And I end up giving him 20% off. And he's like, which is a lot, by the way. That's a pretty big discount on the furniture.
Margins are not what they used to be.
They're not. They're not as good as they used to be because there's too many competitors.
Yeah.
So 20 off on this stuff is really, really huge, and I don't get 20 off, by the way. And so it's some outdoor furniture, and he goes, well, if you can do it for this price, I'll take it. I said, if you do it where you pay me cash or check, where I'm not paying the credit card fee, I'll do that, which ended up being like 25%. And so then he's like, well, can you do this? And I'm like, no, we literally just established cash or check for this, and now you're going to drop it even more. And
That's what I always said. You give out your hand and reach out for your elbow.
Yeah. And then he finally just goes, this is a lot of money. And I said, he's like, it might not be a lot of money to you, but it's a lot of money to me. And I said, well, here's the thing. I said, it might be a lot of money. I said, but if I'm not making any money on it, there's zero reason for me to sell it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I could drive down to Montana and pick it up myself. I said, I think you probably should then. The gas alone is going to cost you more than my profits on this. We finally end up making a deal. I sell it to him. He takes it home. It's some stuff. And then he orders more. We order more of it in. And he's like, I want that same 20% off and no tax. We'll do this. I mess up, charge him for there's a standard and premium price, by the way, on these two levels of, because you can get like a standard material or a premium material. I charge him for standard material, which is already like 8% less than the premium. I charge him for standard. I take 20% off of that, and I save him the tax. So I'm like a 30-something% off on this sale, which I didn't realize until my GM caught it. And I'm like, well, crap, I made like $200 on a $5,000 sale, which it's just not worth it, right?
Yeah.
Because by the time I pay for delivery, it's already. Yeah. So anyway, all this product comes in, and we take it to him, and he calls back, and he's unhappy. So he ordered a different height. So there's stretchers on chairs, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. On like bar height, you have these stretchers. On table height, which is a standard height, there weren't stretchers because it's unnecessary. There's no.
Yeah, it's not. The legs are not tall enough. Correct. Yeah, so you don't need the stability.
So almost built this. They come out. It doesn't have these stretchers on them like my last ones do. I said, well, yeah, we ordered them at a different height. And he's on the phone and he's pissed and he's just yelling at me. I'm like, hey, I said, I'll take care. I said, if you want, I'd be happy here. We'll order the taller ones if you want the stretcher. I'll order them. I'll bring all that back and I'll keep it. I'll sell it. I said, that's fine with me. I said, but the taller ones do cost more, and that's why in the beginning you chose these ones because
there's more material.
Correct. Everything's taller. And he goes, no, I'm not paying the difference. I said, you have it. I'm not going to eat it. I said, but here's the thing. I'd be happy to. I said, I will bring back. I said, so you have two options here. I said, I'll refund your money and I'll keep them. I said, or you can just pay the difference. I'll charge you my cost difference is all. I said, I haven't made money on the sale anyway. I'm like, I'll charge you my cost difference is all to the higher ones. I said, you can pay this. He says, no, I have three options. I can do this, which you can just give them to me at no extra charge, or I can do this. And I said, first of all, buddy, I said, you don't make the rules for my store. And he loses it, and he goes, well, F you, and he hangs up on me. And I'm like, and it's funny because my wife was sitting next to me, and she goes, normally I hear you get upset. You didn't even raise your voice with this guy. Don't know what to say. His wife comes in the next day, which I'm stoked. Oh, by the way, before this even happened, he's like, no, you can, if you're going to do that, you can take all of mine and the last ones I bought back. I said, no problem. I'd be happy to. Well, then I don't have anything to sit on. So I called his bluff. So then he's even more pissed. Like, well, I don't really care, buddy, because I'm not making money on it, right? Yeah. So I thought he would take that like, I don't want to lose that sale. Well, dude, I didn't make money anyway. His wife comes in the next day, and she's like, I think I need to talk to Jake. I'm like, all right. She tells me who she is. I'm like, oh, hey. I said, I would love to help you get what you want. I was like, your husband told me F you? And she goes, yeah, well, he didn't tell me that, but I'm not surprised. He's like, he's a good man. He's just got a temper. Our people building our deck walked off the job and told him that I had to beg him to come back into his job because he lost his temper. I said, here's the thing. I said, I want you to be happy more than anything. In fact, if anybody knows Jake, I want my customers to be happy. And I will bend over backwards for you. But there has to become a point to where it's just not worth it, right? She was awesome. She came in. It cost her, these are 6 pieces, by the way, right? Retail is like $180 per piece more retail. I charged her, I think, $90 per piece more, which was my cost to get them. And so she got all these pieces for, I can't remember, $500 more. And she was stoked about it. So we got that. We got it all taken care of. But her attitude walking in was great.
It's the difference.
So that's the only difference. You come in, I know it was a long story, but come in and just be real, man, and recognize we're people too. And I think that's the reason why they see this building, they see my store, and they're like, well, you got money to extra money to just lose. We don't.
Yeah. We
don't. If that's the case, eventually I won't be here anymore. And I have a family too. I got to feed my kids too. I got bills to pay too. Yeah. And at the end of the day, man, we all just want to work out and do well.
Yeah. I mean, and if you got the store, you got the building, and it looks nice, well, you guys earn it. You got it there. And so one thing is correlate to the other. You know,
But
like why should? But don't people? Yeah, I get it. People don't think like that. You were talking about the community. I see you guys are pretty involved with the Chuckers and the Spud Kings. Tell me a little bit about that, because I think that's probably really good for business, but also, I mean, great advertisement and great with the community. It gives you a lot more
I
recognition.
love that. I love to do big things with community specifically because, man, we are here. We're community people. Spud Kings. I do an ad every year. I've done $5,000 giveaway, $5,000 giveaway.
And just so people know, Spud Kings is the hockey team for the town, and the Chuckers is the baseball team for the town.
Correct.
Just in case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so at the Spud Kings Hockey Arena, this year we're giving away a motorcycle, Indian motorcycle. We're giving away this Saturday, by the way, which is the 2nd. I don't know when this airs. Maybe not then, but
tomorrow. So yeah.
Well, sick. So if you come and just get tickets for free. I'll give you tickets to enter this. But we do at the Spud Kings, we do advertising mostly, and I give pillows away to the hockey players if they come in to the store for free. But it's just a way to say, hey, thanks for supporting our town, you know, and obviously it's good publicity for us. People come in. The Chuckers as well we're at, but we do a lot, like the city of Ammon right now. Sorry about that.
You're good.
City of Ammon is doing a movie night thing where I guess once a week they put on a projector movie at their park.
Okay, yeah.
And their blow up screen would fall over all the time. And so they were like, we need something stable. Can we use your truck and we'll have a screen made that we can put on the side of your truck? Absolutely. And so every week we'll have our Romaine's truck over there, which will be the screen for the movie. And the cool thing is, it's just advertising for me. It's just a big billboard of my truck over there.
Yeah. How many people go see the movies over there?
Yeah.
And it's just parked right there.
So that's cool. Yes, do I have to take my truck over there and let it sit there? Yeah, but that's no big deal, you know. Will the banner scratch the side? I hope not. But we'll see.
The truck and your dad. I remember your dad, man. Your dad drove that truck everywhere in town every morning. I remember. That was like his routine, right? Because I remember taking my kids to school, and they used to go to Lighthouse Montessori up in the foothills, and that's when I owned Carlos. And every morning I would go up Sunnyside, and here comes Carrie driving down the truck, and I'm like, Carrie drives the truck every morning, like religiously.
So my dad figured we go to Vegas, right?
Yeah. My
dad is really, really good at looking at what people are doing and seeing how we can implement that in the business. That is one thing that I love my dad for almost more than anything. But we go to Vegas, we see all these sign trucks. All they do is just drive around. That's it. That's the whole purpose. My dad goes, well, I got a big truck with my name on it. And so every single morning, like early 7 a.m., my dad would get in that delivery truck and just drive. And so people probably think it's a delivery. It's not. It's my dad trying to show people the name.
It worked great. I was so aware. Well, I was in the business, right? So I was very aware of it. But no, I still think it's great because it's rush hour traffic. There's a ton of people taking their kids to school. And so you're out there.
People mentioned it.
Yeah.
People were, dude, we see your trucks all over the place. No, you just see my dad all over the place. And my dad would drive. And if he needed to drive, if he could leave the store, he would do the same thing. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, he'd be out there driving.
Take
when
the truck.
School was out, he'd just be driving. Anything you could do that my dad could bring awareness to the business, that's what he was doing. And I love that. My dad still takes care of all the bookwork. That's about it.
Yeah.
But so he's not real big part of it anymore, but he's a big part of it for me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I know you got to go, so we're going to go over a couple more things. So we're talking your dad and you and everything. So we're talking generational stuff. Old fashioned, the old way versus the new way, right? What...
There's been some hard transitions on that.
I'm curious about that transitions because the way that he did business versus how you do business, maybe some things that you learn on the way that you thought that you could be better, but they were not, and then some other ones that you did that turned out to be better. Yeah, let's go with that, and then we'll go into other stuff.
If you know the Heaton gene, that's what we call it. Very, very stubborn. Our way is the only way type of people. And I have had to be a lot less of that throughout the years. Watching my grandpa and my dad get along, because I worked with both of them, man, they would butt heads a lot. Holy cow, they would butt heads a lot. I remember one day my dad was like, we need to rebuild this front of this section of this entrance of the store when you come into the store, our office area. It was all just nasty, gross. And my grandpa's like, we're not doing that. We're not spending money on that. My grandpa leaves on vacation. My dad, as soon as he left, my dad went and bought all the drywall, all this, and just freaking redid it. Boom. No permit, nothing. Back in the day, I guess you could freaking get away with that crap. And my grandpa gets back, and he's just like, well, it looks good, I guess. So, and it's just funny to watch their two things. And my grandpa used to do a whole bunch of stuff, all 100% paper. And kind of like my grandpa wasn't the most organized. He was organized, but my dad is like, holy cow, my dad's OCD organized. He's literally like that spectrum of it. And so watching my dad change some of the filing systems even from my grandpa, I remember my grandpa just being like, well, that's not the way I do things. And I was young at this point, but I still remember some like arguments toward it. Now from me and my dad, I am so grateful for my dad because most dads, I look at a lot of businesses in town who the son is basically the one running it, but dad still owns it right now. And dad will not give he won't give any
leeway
to the kids. And I see some businesses in towns that could hugely explode if they let the kid do some stuff, but dad won't. My dad wasn't that way. As soon as I got back, I was like, hey, dad, I think we should do this. And every once in a while, it seemed like, but he wouldn't say anything. My dad would step back and be like, if you think that's something that would work, let's try it. That was cool. That I can't say
so
that.
He'll let you take a shot at it for sure.
He let me take a shot. There's a few things he wouldn't, and I'll bring those up. But for the most part, all right, let's try it. And then we would try it, and if it worked, great. My dad said, well, I guess it worked, and it was cool. Now there's a few things though that I would mention, like one time bringing up an agency. Oh, I did that once, and they're going to charge you more for advertising this. I said, Dad, you didn't even listen to me yet. What I wanted to tell you. No, I've been there and done it. I'm like, you haven't. So my dad and I would get some pretty nasty arguments, and I think that's just father and son working. And then guess what? I would do it anyway because I watched him do it to my grandpa. And so I'm sure that just pissed him off to the max because he's like, you can't do that. Well, you did it to grandpa. You would just do it anyway. So I started realizing if there was something.
Learn it from you, Dad.
Yes, exactly. If there was something that was going to upset him, I just wouldn't tell him about it. I would just do it. And luckily, for the most part, almost everything we have done has been better. So I got a new point of sale system, right? We used to handwrite all of our receipts. We had a handwritten receipt. You'd buy something, handwritten receipt.
Yeah,
2010, man, still handwritten receipts. That's crazy. And then finally I was like, Dad, we can't do this anymore. And he goes, well, I don't like the other way because then everybody can see all my stuff. And I'm like, no, Dad. I finally was like, we're going to get a new point of sale system. And went to that, and holy cow, has that been incredible, right? To be able to just get some of the new stuff. Out of anything, though, my dad is not the typical dad that wouldn't allow me to do stuff. He let me take shot after shot after shot. And I think the reason why we're here today, and my dad will say it too, is he stepped back and allowed me to do it. Most people don't. So I'm crazy grateful. Because of that, though, at my new store, I have a general manager who's probably one of the best things I've ever hired because he is so organized. Now, here's the thing. I'm really good at some things. I'm not so great at other things. I own the store, but I don't have to be the best at everything. I just have to have the best people in that spot, or the best person in that spot to do that job. So, for example, the perfect organization isn't my thing. My dad is, but my general manager, it is. And I remember one day we were redoing the way the floor layout is. He went to all these other stores in Utah and everyone. He says, Jake, you have way too nice of a store to have it look like this. It needs to be set up this way. And I was really nervous. I'm like, man, I don't know. And I said, you know what? I'll give you a shot because I learned it from my dad. Let him try it. If it doesn't work, we'll go back. If it works, we won't.
Merchandising is so important.
It's always
so.
And I remember I go to the store and Ryan has the whole back of the store just shoved up and everything's chaos. And I'm like, I can't even deal with this. So I might have to go for a freaking drive. Do we have enough people here? Because I can't deal with this. I was like anxious through the roof because I can't sell anything back there. It's a mess. And it took like 3 days, and they worked till 1, 2 in the morning, by the way, for 3 days. Ryan did, which is awesome. Chris, and so we would be there. And all of a sudden, we had everything vignetted, everything nice, everything with a rug set up the way it would be in a home, not just stacked in there like I used to in my old store. That's just all I knew.
Yeah. More like a warehouse style, which is what we used to do.
Yeah. And dude, has it been phenomenal. We have a little less product on the floor, but we sell way more.
Because people can visualize it better.
Yes. And they're buying everything with it. They're buying the rug, the end tables, the nightstand with the freaking accessories on the top. And then Ryan's really good with this. He takes every single spot on the floor, every single one. And he says, how much money have we made on that spot? And he breaks it down. How long has this been sitting here? This ain't making money. And he will pull it and move it. Since he's been doing that, he said, just so you know, from last year, this quarter, this spot was generating this amount. Now it's generating this. This was here. Now it's generating this.
So like geographically in the store, like each location?
Each location in the store he has and how much each location is making.
Interesting.
It's honestly been the best thing that we've been able to do. So it's been really, really good. I learned that from my dad because I don't have a son yet in the business. I know I have him, and luckily I'm only 34 to be able to learn that, where my dad was 60 to learn that. And it's been really good, man. There has been some hard things.
Tell me something that, like a mistake that you made, something that, because it's good to point on that, right? We talk about the wins, but it's good to talk about the losses too and some of the struggles. Tell me one that right at the top of your head that you remember.
The biggest mistakes would be, for me, biggest mistakes have been bringing in products that didn't work. I only bring that up because this is some contention that I've had with my dad over time. So there's been a couple times where I've mentioned, hey, Dad, I think we should bring this in. And my dad's like, I've been there, done that. We shouldn't do it. And I thought I knew better than him on those aspects. I remember bringing in a whole line of some furniture that I thought would do great. And it didn't. And I sat on it. In fact, I finally got rid of it at our tent sale. And I sat on that product for 6 years. At that point, I lost money. Right? In the furniture industry, you have to front money. We don't get a floor.
They don't, yeah. And if you get the floor, you're going to pay a ton of interest. A few people that give you credit on it, but most of it don't. You have to buy everything up front, inventory.
Everything we've done, we've bought it. So I buy this inventory, which is a lot of money, at least $100,000, and especially at our old store, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Today I can't get very far with that amount of money, but a lot of money. And then I sit on that product, so I never had that income. So that was something I had to pull out of every month, pay this back, right? Where when I say pay it back, recoup that money, which I wasn't actually selling from that product. But to be honest with you, I don't see huge, there were probably more mistakes with Grandpa and Dad than I've had. And I know that sounds bad, but I think the reason why we've been rolling things well is because I've been set up really well. So I don't remember a ton of huge mistakes that we've made. There's been things where we've course corrected many times on advertising, on certain products, on the way the store looks, but nothing major. For me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. I don't know.
No, it's a good run. I mean, you're lucky.
But yeah, I am. I've been super, super blessed in the way it's worked, and I'm just grateful. So I am nervous for its future.
I think we all are.
Big
because,
burden.
Yeah. I mean, things are a little tricky out there right now, but they always are. Somehow it just feels a little bit a little uneasier about things right now. Yeah. Just because
everybody that I've talked to is a little uneasy.
Yeah. And so I think that's probably reflecting on everything, how sales are going with whether it's real estate, whether it's cars, whether it's furniture, commerce in general. People kind of take a step back spending when there's uncertainty.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. I
so
mean,
what
we
do
all
we
do
do
it.
about that?
What do we all? I mean, you can only take so many steps back, because I how I look at it and how I approach things is there are some things that I can control, right? And so whether the gas prices go up, whether we go on war, or whether should I take some measurements and have some like a cushion just in case something happens? 100%.
Right.
Live within your means.
Right.
Don't overspend, but at the same time, don't just take step backs and hide, because I think then you don't progress. And regardless of whether those things are happening or not, you can only control what's within your community, within your team, within your office, your business, your family. Anything outside of that, you're just gonna be proactive about certain things, and you're definitely gonna react to some other things. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's.
I appreciate you hearing that. I mean, saying that, because I think that's something I need to hear. Because I worry about things, and sometimes I think I let it bother me more than I should. Of stuff that's not in my control, and so I think I needed to hear that today.
And I learned that from somebody else, because I would always stress so much about things that weren't in my control. And it's like, you can only control what's near to you, within reach, right? And then you can delegate some things, right? Which I think you've done great with the store, with a new manager and things like that. And so, but some other things, you're just a passenger. I mean, we're just a passenger on this gigantic planet, right?
This is what I'm going to do back today. I'm going back to the store today, talking with everybody.
So
this is what we control. It's heavy focus here. This is what I control. Let's beat it. Let's do it. Let's win.
Anything else, it's just...
Because there's other things that have been on my mind bothering me. I can't control. And I don't think that hit me till just now. I can control that.
Yeah.
So get over it. Go to the next one. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you do.
This is what's so good, though, about being able to have other people that are like-minded and successful people, too, though, hang around them, because everybody's going to learn something from somebody. That's simple. What you just said is simple as can be. And everybody will be like, well, duh. But sometimes I need to hear that, you know?
Well, we get worried. We have families, we have kids, we stress. We have a business that we're running. So it's normal to get worried. And don't think that I don't get worried or stressed, because I do. And I get anxiety and stuff. But it happens. And let's try to wrap it up, because I know you got to go. Try to fight that anxiety. I think it's so important to do things outside, things that you like, whether it's having hobbies, buying things that you like. Well, tell me about a little bit what kind of, obviously spending time with your families first, but what else just kind of gets your mind out of the rat race and just helps you enjoy things?
I've been married for 14 years. My wife and I have not taken a vacation. This year, my wife finally was like, dude, Jake, you finally have some people who can run the store. We need to do some stuff. So my wife and I this year we have gone to a couple plays down at the Eccles Theater in Salt Lake. We enjoyed that. Went to Phantom of the Opera. That was awesome. Super good. My kids, we love to fish. I used to have a real nice boat. I sold it because I just didn't have the time to use it because I didn't take days off.
Mm-hmm.
My boys were like, Dad, we really like fishing on the boat. We catch more fish that way. I said, I'll buy a boat, but it's got to be inexpensive, something I can buy cash. I'm not buying a $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 boat again. And so I'm going to buy something small. Found a little boat on Facebook Marketplace for a steal. Went over, picked it up, bought it, and every Monday typically I take the boys, we go fishing. We love to shoot guns. Me and my boys, my girl eventually will, she's too young at the moment. We go also after fishing. We typically go and we record YouTube videos, and my kids come with me to hold the cameras and other things. They're usually never in the shots, but they're also there to go shoot. And then I just started pilot lessons because I'm really excited for that as well. But I guess for me to de-stress, man, it really is just, I guess it's super funny. We go to theater plays. We love the plays.
Yeah.
And we shoot guns.
No more motorcycles?
Oh, I do have every Thursday.
I was like, I know you like motorcycles and you like speeds.
Yeah, every Thursday night we have a motorcycle group that we ride with, and every Thursday, guarantee we ride until the weather is. I mean, if the weather's not nice.
Bipolar Idaho weather.
If you look at me, man, I have hobby after hobby after hobby. So I guess it's going to be what overtakes me at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I'm into everything. I have watches. I have like fountain pens out of Believe It or Not, and I like to write in cursive and learn new ways to write, which sounds dumb, but it's fun to me.
Things that you like.
I pick locks, man. I have lock picks. I have arsenal
Really?
points. Yeah, I've picked locks for 20 years now. And
okay, I'll know who to call.
Yeah, people call me all the time. People call me all the time. People that know, Jake, I'm locked out of my car, locked out of my house. I come open it for you, no big deal. Thank God I was a good kid because I'd have been in everything back in the day. I could do it all through high school. But I have so many hobbies, but Thursday nights we ride motorcycles. I have my motorcycle, and a motorcycle is a monstrous relief. But still have a couple bikes right now. I have too many, I've realized. So if anybody's looking for a Harley.
You still have the Aprilia?
Sold them.
Sold them?
Yeah, I have still way too many bikes. But I have a couple Harleys I'm gonna sell at the moment, and keep the other two for me and my wife. And my wife rides.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool.
I don't know. You do have to de-stress though.
Yeah, you got to find hobbies. You got to things to put your energy into. Otherwise,
and I haven't done that. So this year, my wife really. I mean, I have plenty of hobby, but I have never spent those hobby time with my family. That's what we're gonna start doing.
Yeah, definitely travel more. If I could.
Haven't.
Unsolicited advice. That's one thing that Kim and I have done, and it's like, so when we're here, we're just head down, all in. But we take randomly time off here and there, and we try to go, and it's like it just gives me peace of mind, and it's just like, because we're doing all this, we're working so hard, it's like, well, I think as the older I get, and I see people my age are like randomly dying for many reasons, and then you're like, your mortality hits you, and you're like, I'm working my ass off every day. And so if I die tomorrow, like, what the heck was that for? If I didn't go anywhere, I didn't see anything, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's my unsolicited advice for Jake. But if you can leave us with something for everybody that is listening, one word of wisdom from Jake, what would it be?
It's going to be the same thing I've already mentioned on the podcast. If you say you can, or if you say you can't, you are right. Don't ever talk negative to yourself. Don't tell yourself that you can't do it. And keep the negativity out. So if we go back to this, when we talk religion, I'm actually extremely scientific. I think God and science is the same thing. And if they don't mix, because we don't know one or the other enough. And that is my opinion. I'll bring that into an example. There are studies after study after study that our mind and our body emit an actual measurable frequency. Okay? It's real. That's going to sound voodoo, but it is real. And when we are in standard thought process like we are right now, our mind is working with what's called beta wavelengths. It's measurable on CAT scans, CT scans. Our frequency, we have a mind. Our mind's just an electrical magnet, right? And we have these electrical impulses. That's why we can read them on scans. When we go and all of a sudden we're in deep meditation or thought like this, our brain waves literally change on a measurable scale to what they call alpha wavelengths. I know it's not. It should be like alpha beta. It's not. It's beta alpha. And then when they say when you're like near sleep or in a deep, deep meditative state, not just a simple thought state, a deep meditative state, your brain waves literally change to what's called delta and theta wavelengths. Now, when I go back to old school thinkers, Galileo, Einstein, all of these people, every one of their books mentioned how they received external input on what they should do during their deep thought sessions. And so I can't remember which scientist, but he would go to take a nap and he would hold a ball like this. And he would wait and he would hold the ball up for a reason so that if he fell too deep into sleep, he would drop the ball and wake him up. But he would hold it in that state because he noticed when he would do that, he would get into these delta and theta wavelengths, which typically only happen when we're asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But they can happen in conscious thought, but you have to be fully relaxed. And only then in those states of mind, he would receive external input. That's what he called it. He knew it wasn't from him. I call him God. He called it external input from the world, right?
Yeah.
So nonetheless, he would receive external thoughts. If you look at some of the greatest thinkers of minds or people when you've had that aha moment, it's never been in most conversations like this. Like right now you're doing this. You're thinking. It's been in those moments when we've thought. So to wrap this whole thing back up, this frequency and this energy out there is very real on the facts of positivity that actually have measurable like presence behind it. There's actual science behind it that these things are measurable.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking of things that are good on a Richter scale or whatever scale they're using in order to measure these, it has measurable input of actual power. If you think negativity, these same scales that use to measure that cannot register anything. So good thought has physical measurable energy that you can put out in the universe and it seems to come back to you, whereas the bad doesn't. So back to wrap that all up, and I know it was simple, a long explanation for my simple word. If you say you can or you can't, you are right. And it's much deeper than just the drive. There is something physical out there greater than that these literal good energies can bring back to you. I know that sounds weird.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I have a friend that always says what you focus on expands. So that would be negativity or positivity.
And it works.
Yeah.
If I've ever wanted something, I seem to get it. There's never been anything in my life where I said, I don't think I'll ever achieve that. If I have wanted something, everybody knows it's a running joke with Jake. If Jake wants something, it's going to be here next week. And it might not always be a week. It might take a year.
Yeah.
But if I want something,
you make it happen.
I will make it happen. But that's because I will obsess over it. I will make it happen. I will only focus on it. I will visualize me getting it, and I will visualize me how I got it. And I will make those things, they just manifest into real life. They almost happen out of nothingness because I only register that it happens. There's this documentary I think everybody should watch. It's called Rewired by Joe Dispenza. He teaches you that manifestation happens, things happen that don't even make sense, but that's because we are almost summoning it out of this good. Sounds crazy. I know I sound nuts.
No,
but
you
for
don't.
me, it has worked. It has always worked. If I need something, I get it. It just, don't put the negativity out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Again, thanks for coming by. We'll do this again. Thank you. That's a wrap.